This is Nick from Income Digs, and welcome to the launch of our brand new property management workspace in Podio. All right, so this is a template that is put together for property managers or for investors who manage their own properties to organize and manage all of your operation, your rental property operation, right within Podio. So it's a template that's built with apps that are connected to each other and that have extremely strong workflows with GlobyFlow built into the template. All right, and this is for sale for you to bring into your own Podio setup. All right, and I'm really excited about it. We had previously had a property management workspace for sale, but this one is way more powerful, way more workflows. There's over 75 GlobyFlow workflows that you get when you get this template. And I'm going to walk through a lot of what it can do today to show you the immense power of it. Now, as I get going, the question I always get when it comes to these templates is, am I subscribing to something? Am I getting access to your template? And for those of you who are customers of mine already, you know that my philosophy is that whatever I build for you is yours that you keep. Okay, so if you purchase this template, will have it and own it. Okay, I'm literally going to deploy these apps and the relationships, the flows in GlobyFlow into your workspace, and you're going to own it. Of course, I'm willing and ready to help you customize it, but you can do whatever you want with it from there, whether that be connected to other workspaces or just customize your own workspace. All right, you would own it, no subscription fee at all. All right, that being said, let's get into the template and just show you a little bit of what it can do. So what I'm looking at right now is my Workspace homepage, which I think, for my business, it's probably the most important page that I get to, and that's where I have different tiles and reports to show me what's important to me in my business. Now, of course, all the data here is sample, so don't read into it too much, but what we're looking for is, how many tenants do I have? What are my active units? What appointments do I have coming up? Renewals is a cool thing that I'm going to show you. Of course, broadcasts is a way to communicate out to our tenants, vacancies, invoices, all that stuff. And I'm going to show you where all that lies within the system. All right, so the system is built on, as all Podio databases are, on relationships. Okay, so at the simplest point in our database, we have properties. Okay, now these are buildings. They could be single-family buildings, but they could also be multi-unit. So if you have single family, you would list all of your single family properties here. If you have multi-unit, you would lay out all of your properties here. So anything that has a physical address that you take title as. So these are not units, these are just properties. All right, and we bring in automatically, we can bring in some cool information for those properties so that we understand what they're worth and the valuation, etc. All right, really simple app. You might have noticed here that we have, let me grab this one again, the owning entity and the managing entity. So with my business, I have separate LLCs take ownership of properties, but I have one company that manages them. And this is important because this entity, we're able to indicate a logo and a tenant-facing phone number so that we can sign off on all our emails with that. It's really, really important. All right, so you can have both there. All right, property is pretty simple app, but you would lay those out. This is not yet where you would do your rent roll. That's kind of next. All right, so units is a really important app within this workspace. This is where you would track all of those units that you rent out separately. Okay, so and now again, if you have single family homes, then you'd have one unit per house. All right, but the template is built for you to have, yeah, sure, single family homes, but also duplexes, triplexes, quads, or apartment buildings with more. All right, you can see this property here, 264 Union, has 9 units in it. Okay, now a unit has a lot more meat to it. All right, so a unit is something that, of course, is related to the property. We have a name for it: square footage, monthly rent. We calculate annual rent. This next rental increase is pretty neat. It's a way for us to automatically, when we have renewals come up, automatically increase the rent by a little bit. Okay, we understand whether it's occupied or not. Now notice I can't change this. That's because the system's doing the calculation for you. We have a place for you to put in your vacancy, additional lease terms, so that when we create a lease, we can automatically populate that stuff. But what is neat about the way that the system's set up is we have a rent roll built right in. The report is built right in. And if I were to make this full screen, you can see that I get my rent roll right away when I log into the system. So I have my property here, my units, square footage, monthly rent. We calculate the monthly rent per square foot. We calculate the annual rent, the active lease amount. All right, so Now the system is driven by leases, and I'm going to get into that in a little bit, but basically I don't want you as a the property manager to have to go in and say what unit is occupied and what's not, especially when you have a lot of units. It's hard to keep control of that, right? In my opinion, my professional advice is that your leases or month-to-month rental agreements should tell you whether or not your unit is active, okay? And I'm going to show you that with the Leases app. But what we see here in our rent roll is that we have a couple units that are vacant, okay? And it's automatically calculated like that. And this is nice I can give this to a bank. If they want to say, give me your rent roll for all your properties, I can do that. If they wanted to say, hey, give me your rent roll for that one building, I can just go here and filter that down to that one building. Super easy, built in and ready to go. All right, let's bring us back. Okay, so that's the units, really important app. Of course, our renters is super important as well. These are all the people that you would potentially lease to. Now it's also a CRM. Okay, but what I'm showing right now is my active tenants. Again, I'm not going to go into this app and indicate whether they're active or not. The Leases app is going to tell me that. Now you'll notice that I have renters here and I have contacts here. Those are different. The reason they're different is you can see here we have multiple people potentially that are listed as renters. And what we're doing is we're accounting for the situation where you have two people that are on one lease for you, okay? So this could be husband and wife, could be boyfriend, girlfriend, could be just a few friends, college friends or something like that, living together, and they're on the same lease. So one renter contains two people potentially. Or, of course, they don't need to, it could just be one person as well. You can link the renter to a unit. That is whether they are a tenant or not. This is your CRM status here. I'm going to show you that in a little bit. We have different triggers to send applications. And on the lease, I'm going to show you how we can integrate with Right Signature and my new favorite, PandaDoc. All right, really cool integration, so you don't have to be signing stuff on paper or hard copies anymore. All right, so we have some cool information about our tenants there. Now, as I mentioned, it also acts as a CRM. So if I go to my renter CRM, these are potential renters who aren't necessarily tenants yet. So this person right here is interested in a unit 34 long rear front, okay? So they are not yet, I haven't done anything with them yet, but they are a potential renter. And so what I can do from this screen here is I can schedule appointments with them. So let's say I want to show Gary the unit. I can go in here and schedule, I'm talking with Gary on the phone and I want to set a meeting for 5:30 p.m. this Friday. I can click showing here, and what the system's going to do, this is a little bit of the automation, it's going to automatically create an appointment in the Appointments app. It's a completely separate app, but it's a separate app, but they relate to each other, all right? So the new appointment was created, and here within the Appointments app, I have the renter, the category, the unit, when it was created, who's attending from my team. And then we have some cool automations here as far as notifying our tenants, okay? So in the state of New York, when we have a showing, we're going to be showing the unit to a new prospective tenant. I might need to notify my tenants. So I can trigger here, and this will send an email out to all your active tenants for this unit that we're coming, and let us know if you have any problems with this. Now this one happens to be vacant, so that would go to nobody. We also have SMS and email reminders for this attendee. So if I were to click on the auto SMS reminder, this would, on the day of the appointment, send that text message, send that email to this renter that they have an appointment coming up. Or you can do an ad hoc one right here as well, send that text message to that person, okay? So we have all that communication built right in. The Appointments app is a really great app, and I'm just seeing here, we sent that SMS to Gary, okay, and we say what it is and when it happened. And what's cool about the SMS, as it's coming up here, I'll do this on my phone, if they were to reply yes, then the system understands that and can move the item to confirmed, okay? So again, all of this is built in. So you see we just received that text message and then we make it as confirmed. And what's neat is you can look on your calendar on the appointments, you can see all the appointments you have coming up, and we color them in as far as what's confirmed and what's not. So these two are confirmed, this one's not. So I might want to, on the day of that appointment, either reach out with the automated email and text messages, or maybe I call that person to make sure they're going to show up. In my opinion, going to an appointment with a renter and they don't show up is one of the most frustrating parts of being a property manager, so we're trying to curtail that here. All right, so you can see we can do a lot of cool things there. Let's talk about leases. And I mentioned at the beginning, this is really the keystone of the workspace. It kind of dictates who's active and who's not. So you can see I have my active leases here. And the Leases app is really, it's structured to be, a lot of required fields and to feed a legal document. Okay, so this whole Leases app is set up to, of course, within the system, understand what leases you have and what you don't, but also to generate PDF documents for signature. Okay, now we can do that in a few different ways. We can do that with Right Signature, okay, which is a Citrix product, or PandaDoc, which we would integrate with on. We would integrate through Zapier. Okay, now this integration is ready to go. It's not set up yet because I don't know what your leases look like. So if you have the knowledge and know how to kind of set that configuration up yourself, go for it. You'll have training on how to do that. If you'd like my help with that, I'm happy to do so as well. All right, so we'll kind of have that in the training separately to show you how to set that up. All right, but your lease is going to have, of course, what the monthly rent is, security deposit, late fees, all that kind of stuff. And based on the lease start and end dates, we're going to know if we're active or not. Okay, the system is going to tell us that. All right, I can, of course, void this lease for whatever reason. If they decide to move out early and I agree with that, we can void it, in which case the system will understand that we're voided and update the status to inactive. All right, but that's not the case here, so I'm going to change that. Okay, so our leases, again, kind of runs the show. Now, when we have a renter who's confirmed, we create a new lease. Let's talk about, I just want to talk through Invoices. So Invoices is an app for you to manage who owes you money. Okay, now the system is set up to create a new invoice every first of the month whenever an active lease is running, okay? And this invoice, you can manage it right here in Podio if you have no other accounts receivable system, but it's also set up to potentially push to QuickBooks. So I do have a video out about how that works, and I definitely suggest you set that up if you're using QuickBooks already. I love it. I don't have to go into two different systems. I have the two talking to each other, okay? And of course, this can feed a report as to how many invoices are outstanding. All right, I want to go back to renters for a second and talk through renewals, okay? So one thing that bothered me as a property manager was trying to track who is staying and who is going. So with all my renters, there is a renewal section. And basically what happens when a new renter is created is we have a request for renewal date and we have a renewal deadline. And what we can do is we can send an invitation to renew. What they're going to do is get a new, they're going to get an email indicating that we would like them to stay, what their new rent is, and what the new terms of their lease are. They can click a button to accept that renewal invitation, or they can click a button to say leave. If and when they click to leave, then the system is going to create a new vacancy for this unit that we know we have to now fill, all right? And so the new vacancy, the vacancies is a way for you to manage, you might have seen on my home screen, a way for you to manage what do I need to fill, okay? So for example, I have this vacancy here, which is tied to a unit, has a status, here's my listing, all of my information here, that I would then assign this task to my admin to review vacancy and post the ad. All right, that's an automatic task that's assigned. Okay, so this unit exists and I want to track these to completion. So let's go back to my CRM. What if I had a renter who then I confirm? So if I'm going into my CRM and I know that this guy is pretty good, now for one, I could send him the application, which again, Right Signature, PandaDoc, you can use that. But if and when I say this is a person I would like to confirm, I can move them to tenant. And when I move them to tenant, a few things are going to happen. So for one, I'm going to have a bunch of tasks set up to set up their tenant folder, to add them to the accounting system, to send the move-in instructions, all of that. Now you can also build all that into your system. Okay, so some of that's built in, but of course I don't have your move-in instructions. So what you could do is you can customize this button here to send the intro email, which is going to send your tenant instructions for moving in. And all that is customizable in GlovyFlow. We also create a new lease. All right. And lastly, I think one other thing we do, if I go to my vacancies, yeah, we automatically closed that one that was open before. So let me find that 34 long one. Let's see here. So this one was just moved to closed, the close date, and who it was closed with. So again, another automation that we connect these things together. If I confirm a tenant to a unit that has a vacancy, we close that vacancy. All right, and that new lease has been created. It'll show up my future lease. It's not active yet, okay? But I do need to send this out. So review lease and lease details and terms, send it out for signature. Now, send it out for signature does not mean to go into PandaDoc and to create that document. I would click here, send via PandaDoc, and that connection exists so that we can see that all happen automatically. Okay, so again, leases runs the show, and it's related to renters, related to units, and they all kind of tie in together. Work orders is, of course, an important piece of this system. Okay, so when tenants have issues, they're going to fill out a web form, and you're going to get this work order, and you're going to track it to completion. So, for example, I have a tenant fill this out that their heat is not working, so they're going to make a description. They're going to potentially provide permission to enter or tell us to call first. And then from here, we're going to schedule it, assign it, and eventually complete it. Same thing with appointments. We can send confirmation emails when we've received it, also when we've resolved the issue. All right. So I like to use a card view for this so I can move things from different statuses. Of course, we're going to be using the web form here. Now, the web form, what's cool about this is you can create the web form. If I were to grab, let's say Gary. So we have these buttons here, and I am too going to get into in a separate video the tenant portal that we can connect with. But here is an example of the maintenance request form that they can fill out, submit it, and then you're going to receive that maintenance request. So it's a great way not only to allow your tenants to have a way to indicate what maintenance needs to be done, but for you to understand what maintenance has been done in the past. Okay, so I always tell my clients that even if you're not receiving a work order from your tenant specifically, go ahead and create them yourself, whether they're scheduled or ad hoc, so that you can keep track of that record. And when I say scheduled, it's a cool way to be proactive about maintenance. So you could potentially set up a recurring maintenance work order that you need to change the furnace filters, for example. All right. Broadcasts is another way to communicate to your renters. So you can communicate with your renters. I don't know if I talked about this specifically, but within the Renters app, there are fields to send ad hoc emails and text messages to those renters. Okay, so that's right down here. You would indicate an email subject, email body, whether or not you want to CC the rental manager, and then send that email or send that text message. So that can all happen. This is for individual renters. If you would like to send broadcasts to active tenants as a whole, you can do that in this broadcast app. And what you would do here is indicate which property or properties you want to send this to, indicate a subject, indicate a body, and then trigger to send that broadcast. And what the system will do, it will look for all the active tenants for these properties and send that email broadcast to them. Okay? It's an awesome way to automate that whole piece. Okay. Assets is a way for you to manage the furnaces, the mechanicals, all those kinds of things on your properties. And it's not built out too far, but it's kind of a new idea in that what you can do is kind of start tracking different pieces of mechanics that you have within your system. And you can see what's happening here is the system is sending this to all of these people, and I'm getting confirmations that all that's happening. Now, unfortunately, all these people have my email addresses, so I'm going to be getting a bunch of those confirmations, but that's okay. I can deal with that. All right, so the broadcast app is super exciting, and it saves me a ton of time. Most of everything that I've built here, I've built because I needed it in my business. So I've run my own rental management business, and I have tenants, and I communicate with them. And I know how important it is to stay organized and to understand what units have what going on and what needs to be addressed in different areas. And so that's what the system is built for. It can handle if you have 10 units, it can handle if you have 110 units. It really is ready for that scalability. And that's, in a nutshell, what you're going to be getting with this app template. Now, when you purchase the property management template, we will deploy it into your workspace, and we will be there. The Income Dig service account will be there until you want us to leave. You'll tell us, you'll revoke our access. But while we're there, you can ask us questions. But I would also say, I would recommend you go through the training first. So when you purchase, you will have access to training videos that go through each one of these apps in way further detail. I'll show you exactly how the workflows operate. I'll also get into GlobiFlow. So here's all the flows you're going to get, over 75 flows. And I'm going to show you how they all work. And I'm going to demonstrate how you might change those. For example, the right signature one is not going to be configured for you because I don't know what your lease looks like yet. But I will show you how you can configure it yourself. Okay, so that'll be ready for you. All right, you're going to get all that training, and then we'll be here for you. If you have any questions, just give us an app mention, and we can help you to resolve things. And then keep in mind that you can customize this yourself. I encourage you to do that. Plug it into your other system. If you have the rehab management app package from me, you can plug that in as well. All right, so let's just go over it in a nutshell, kind of what you're getting with this system, the different features that you're getting. So for one, you're able to track your properties, your total property value, right, of the various legal parcels that you own. And tied to that are your units. And the important part with your units, you can understand at a high level, what is my rent roll, what's rented, what is not. Okay. You can, of course, manage your tenants, both your active tenants and your incoming tenants through the Renter CRM. We're going to be able to move tenants to closure. We're going to be able to communicate with tenants all through that Renters app. The calendar is a way to track appointments with these tenants, also with some built-in workflows for confirmations from your tenants so that you're not sitting there in an appointment and your tenant is not showing up. That's the worst. Okay, Leases is a way for you to track your start and end dates of your leases, how much they're for, and of course to integrate with some kind of document management system so that you're not signing hard copies anymore. You can use digital signature. All right, your invoices and payments, who owes you what, integrate that with QuickBooks for a full-on accounting system. It's a really great integration. Of course, your maintenance requests, Webform for your tenants to fill out when they have issues in maintenance. They fill out that Webform, you get the request, and then you can address it in whatever way you want. Now, a note on that, so we have a workflow built in to kind of assign that to the maintenance manager and then do different things. And that's one of those workflows where you can take what I built, fine, or you might want to customize that to be your own workflow. The Broadcast app is a way to communicate with many renters at once, so you're not pulling up your email and saying, who is a renter for that one unit, and then who else do I CC on this? You're sending this email through the system. It's super clean, and we track it for you. All right, and of course, daily task management and communication. I would really recommend that you and your team are in the system for managing day-to-day tasks and chatting with each other and commenting on things within the system. All right, one place for task management and communication so that it's all in the cloud, it's all available on mobile, on your computer. You always have the information you need. Stop using spreadsheets, stop using Google Contacts to understand who your renters are. Use a system like this and talk through it with your team. Okay, so that is the system. I really appreciate your patience. We're super excited about it. I mean, it is really powerful. Again, I use it for my own business. And then what I've done is I've taken work I've done for other clients, and we've kind of plugged in some awesome features that we built out. And it's going to be yours. You're going to purchase it. We're going to deploy it. You're going to get trained on it. And then you're going to own it to do whatever you want with. No subscriptions at all, one-time fee. And you would own the system. All right, so I really appreciate you checking out the video. If you are interested, go ahead and purchase. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us right here, info@incomedigs.com, or directly to me, nick@incomedigs.com. Also check out the frequently asked questions at the bottom there. And look forward to having you as a customer. Look forward to helping you to organize and automate your rental property management. Thanks.